Let's turn the music off again. There we go. Okay, good morning everybody. Where are we? So we got Mr. Mitch here falling asleep at the keyboard. Robert McInasia, g'day Robert, if you're still there. Everybody seems to start early, except for me. I try to stick to the 10 o'clock schedule, you know. Anyway, moving along, Mr. Mitch. Yeah, so as he's feeling 58 today. Don't feel 58. Andy Stubbs, good morning. How you doing? I spent the day sandpapering walls and patching. Oh my God, sounds too strenuous to me.
I find paneling easier.
Paneling, yes. Is that wood paneling with the slats on it? It's like it's a very thin plywood that you just glue the wall into. Put.
Yeah, that's what I've been put. That's what I was putting in my kitchen today.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
They call it beadboard.
Beadboard. I don't know what they call it in Australia. I've seen it, and I think it looks all right. You know, if you want that sort of wood grain finish, you know.
Well, this one is it's just got a little bead run about every 3 inches or 2 inches down through the wood, and it's just painted white. Really nice for a kitchen.
I remember when obviously moving out of the house in Australia, like as I think I've mentioned this a few times, my daughter was living in the upstairs, so we had the big room, and there was 2 bedrooms upstairs, and I just said, that's your space, you know, when she was living there, you know. She moved out, and the place was an absolute mess. I basically had to get a dump truck in and threw it all out. I told her to come and move her stuff. She came in, picked up half a dozen things. I think that was April 2016, and said, "Oh, I don't want the rest." Typically, you know, modern generations. Yeah, well, why'd you buy all that crap to start with? That was hard-earned money, you know. I don't want it. Oh, yeah, all right, fair enough. All went in the bin. If I had time, I would have gone to St. Vincent de Paul or one of the charities and given it to them. But it was all basically what do you call it? Fetish and goth gear, which is her thing, you know.
Oh.
So I don't know. I think if they took it to St. Vincent de Paul, being a very Christian-based society, they probably would have.
That would have been humorous.
They would have had kittens.
The nuns would have had a gay old time.
But yeah, so I just threw it all out, you know. But then of course, then it came to the fix-up. Oh yes, like that. That was a 21-foot by 18-foot room upstairs, you know, sanding that down because it was an absolute, like the paintwork was a mess, and you know, had things stuck to the wall, and it took a few days to do that.
Makes you wonder what it was stuck to the wall with.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Mr. Mitch, it never seems to be. It never seems to end, does it? Right? Yeah. Fat James, g'day. How you doing? Robert Mac, Mark, how doing? Good morning. Make sure we catch up with Luke M. G'day. Working tonight. After hours network testing. Well, fun and games. I remember all those fun and games we used to have back in the day. X and LO. I still don't know if I say that right. Xnillo. How do you say it? Xnillo 415. Maybe I was calling it 415. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Wow, Robert. Hello, Warren. Robert. Mr. Warren Thierot. How are you going? I think everybody said they introduced themselves. I guess if you have to guess what percentage of teenage boys would become ladyboys as of the year in the past, please answer. Okay. It's a very complicated question there. It's a very loaded question as well. How many boys become ladyboys here in Thailand? I think that's what he's trying to ask. There is a thing here we have in Thailand called conscription, which all males at the age of 20 have to go into this, what they call ballot. And we find some of the less boyish boys will go and sort of a year or two before that 20-year-old sort of point in time, they will actually go to the chemist and so they just tell the chemist, I don't feel like a boy anymore. I want to be a girl, and the chemist will prescribe them, estrogen. I think the most popular one they have over here is Estrogen. I hear the girls are always taking the Estrogen. But there's a whole range of, what they call post-menopause drugs available over the counter. You don't need a prescription. You don't need psych evaluation. You don't need anything. Basically, if you want to be a girl, just go to the chemist and they'll ask you a few questions. What one's going to suit you? They do ask you to come back in a month and sort of do all the follow up and if you had felt this, that, and the other, and they might change something if it's. Anyway, cut a long story short, there is a good percentage of them, maybe sort of 1% of the male population may even, that may be a bit high, maybe probably 0.5% of the population may go down that route. I've sort of seen some photos where they just put a wig on and they go to the thing and they're just told to take the wig off, and put your number in. But the army will not take them. That's in the conscription process. They don't take them. And invariably, what happens is the fact that they go in, they get denied access to the conscription because under the army regulations, they're considered to be mentally unstable. And once that conscription point is over, and I think they're going to stay like that from 20 through to 21, because after they're 21 years old, they don't have to go back. Once the conscription process is done, that's it, it's a clean slate. And then invariably, sort of a good percentage of them then just to say, well, I'm going to be a boy again now. All they're doing is just basically draft dodges. I really don't know the percentages. But there is a fairly decent percentage of the population do transition outside the whole conscription idea. But I think the best numbers I can give you is a census that was done in 2016. It said America actually has the highest transgender population around the globe by consensus data. And I think maybe we don't have so much consensus data coming out of Thailand on that subject to give a match up. So it's like COVID-19 numbers. This is how they report. But America is very big on numbers. So I think it was 0.7% of the population choose to be transgender, followed by Brazil, and then sort of Thailand is estimated to be around the third. So it's an interesting survey done by one of the medical fraternities over there in 2016, I found. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. What's we got? Mark Verdun, at high school. I mean high school. What do you mean high school? Oh yeah, so basically that's pretty interesting. I think I've covered what you need to know there anyway, Michael. Richie Kingstar, how you doing? Excellent. I've been flying between Queensland. Okay, chatting amongst yourselves. Anything I'm missing? Everything says easy. Cool. What do Michael? What do Thai high school teachers say about the amount of students becoming ladyboys? I haven't seen any real data on that one, Michael. It's fairly well accepted. It's not like America where they can't use the girls' change rooms and washrooms and things like that. Basically, if they're in transition, Thailand is very accepting, and if you're going through transition, you just use the girls' bathroom. That's as simple as that. It's fairly well policed, and you wouldn't want to mess with the girls anyway. So the girls wear the pants in Thailand. Birth control pills are the poor trans girls' way of transitioning. The high SER girls go to the endocrinologist, I can't even say that word, and get testosterone suppression meds and estrogen meds. Yes, that's the other sort of thing. The testosterone suppression is something that they need in transition with. Chanya actually didn't use that. She was on the estrogen from about the age of 13, so she really that automatically suppressed the testosterone. So she didn't get any facial hair, didn't get any sort of body hair or that whole thing, Past line was Michael, pretty much a live and let live attitude. That's right. Trans girls' dress code vary by school. Some are more progressive than others. Yeah, well, that's one of the things I have heard. Of course, I don't really sort of look at the the teenage scene, because it's really nowhere near the group of people I hang out with. The bar scene. You're finding most of the patrons of bar scenes are at least over 25 to 30 years old, unless of course you're going into the go-go bar scene, then they're a little bit younger. But most people in the bar scene are sort of definitely sort of a good few years past their school age. Warren, yeah, it's a good question. Why are so many people obsessed with the count on who's what sex identified? Yeah, it's a great question, and probably we could talk for hours on that one particular subject. Of course, I have this, this thought process. What do you think about it, Oggy? The obsession. I find America is very sort of deeply obsessed with this. Putting people in boxes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's to me, it's ridiculous to sit there and worry about it. It's because they're trying to figure out if they need to, I don't know, support the society or whatever, or if they're taking up resources, or there's all sorts of reasons why they might be looking at numbers.
Yeah, I think that's one sort of thing that that does come to mind. In Australia, what I've sort of seen in the fringe society, because I used to hang around the LGBTG group and the BDSM crowd and things like that, and you sort of see a lot of people going through those processes. And one of the things, the less well-to-do part of the Australian society, they're looking for the government to actually finance it. Now that's where I think I draw the line, right? If you like, this is of course why we have such a sort of a stringent policy and psych evaluation and everything else, because the government doesn't want to pay out. Is this person genuinely sort of wanting to change their gender? So it requires psychiatrists and medical examinations and all sorts of things. And basically everybody wants their pound of flesh or their dollar, over here we don't get that in Thailand, but I have sort of seen that, they want to get their estrogen, and then they want to get the government to, they want the special government price, like we have, this, the birth control pill is subsidised by the government, so it's almost basically free for women. But of course, people going through transition, again, they want the same price as what a normal girl would. So you've got to look at both sides of the argument, which is a bit of a strange one. No, you're choosing something, right, and you want the government to pay for it. That's my tax dollar. I'm not supporting that idea. You want to transition, then it's up to you to look at the costs. Right? Don't expect somebody else to pay for it. There's not a medical issue that you need to be dealing with. Right? And this is what the government needs to stand in and to say that is not a medical procedure that needs to be governed. Right? That's something of a choice. Now again, we want free choice in society, but having the government pay for it, no, that's where I draw the line. Yeah, I'm a bit fed up with the bigotry, but again, that's my standing there is just as long as I don't care what you want to do, like uh, you, it's up to you, right? As I said, I might, when Chanya wants to have a top up with some estrogen, I might go and spend a couple of $100 to give her a week's supply of it, because like I want her feeling her best, and she's my girl. But she only probably does that once or twice a year. Does Chanya like watching the Miss? Oh, mate, I can't get her away from the TV when those shows are on. Miss World, all those Miss World pageants or the Miss Asia pageants, she's glued to the TV. She just loves that stuff. She really does. She's on her phone and watching. She always watch replays. She watch replays over and over again, quoting what the contestants, when they do the Q&A thing, and why, how do you want to support the world with, your, oh my God, and she sits there and she and her and her girlfriends probably once a year they'll do their own little pageant. They'll go out to dinner somewhere and they'll all dress up and. I've got some things there where Chanya always used to do Miss Australia, so she would go on as Miss Australia. Just because I'm her boyfriend, It's always quite charming. She used to show me the pictures. More you. Do you feel more sexual satisfaction with trans or real women? Well, that's a real open question as well. I am very satisfied with the intimate relationship I have with Chanya. I don't go looking for anything else. I might go to the bar scene and hang out and at the go-go bars once every couple of weeks. COVID exceptions permitting. But that's it. As long as I'm only window shopping, I'm quite happy to come home and see my girl. So I might be just one of the weird guys,
Window shopping. You don't take one out for a test drive, then?
No, we don't take them out for a test drive. There's no test driving. Test driving seems to indicate commitment, and really, I couldn't be committed to one. But
I could be committed, but that was, a long time ago. And the doctor, he didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah. Do you feel more again? So I'm not playing the game, and it's really going to come to a personal thing. Like sexual satisfaction is a very internal, personal thing, and nobody should be making decisions on how that goes. That should be just up to you. What floats your boat is what you would pursue, and how you feel about it. It's none of my business, really. I couldn't care less about sexual orientation because people call themselves treat people who respect. Yeah, sort of. I think I used to post that on my wall on my Facebook. I don't care if you're black, brown, blue, yellow, red. Right? If you treat me, I will treat you the same way as you treat me. If you want to have an issue with me, well, you can expect a similar response. Yeah, satisfaction is in the eye of the beholder. Interesting how we start the conference. We've got obviously new people here. More you and Michael Estrell. There's some new people. I don't know. Maybe this is just one of those sort of things. These are new people who come to the channel. Miss Tiffany's awesome, amazing Thailand. Yes, I've seen that sort of stuff too. It's a Talkback Thailand. G'day, Stephen. How you doing? Good to have you along. Free duck food. Malcolm K. Free.
If you go for a test drive, that's when they chop it off and feed it to the ducks.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so feeding the ducks, yes. I almost missed that one. Thailand has I have researched the numbers, and it's really blown out of proportion. Feeding the ducks happens maybe an incident maybe once or twice a year that gets reported. Whereas, like if you look at the, I think the feeding the ducks actually probably happens more in America. I think, what did the Bobbitt story? That was the first one.
Yes, Lorena Bobbitt chopped it off, threw it in the trash.
I always remember that one there. And there was a spate. Wasn't there a spate after that? There was a spate of dick chopping off, back in America when that happened.
Wouldn't surprise me.
And it was almost like every month you'd hear of a case of somebody's been had a what do you call it?
Depenetration?
Depenetration, yeah. there must be a medical term for it.
Yeah,
they come up with medical terms for everything.
It would be a penisectomy.
Yeah, so appendectomy, a penisectomy, yeah. But yeah, so
surgical removal of the offending organ.
I hear about this happening in Thailand probably once a year. So it's really the numbers that we hear on the social media and the forums and things gets really sort of blown out of proportion. But it does happen.
Don't you think it's just the story that the women tell, so that their men hear it to kind of give them a fair warning?
That could be. It's amazing how that does play into things, Augie. It really does. Do I have any plans on getting married? There's really no point to getting married. I'd done a 20-year. Well, okay, we were married for 15 of the 20 years, but I was married. In Australia, it's a prerequisite to a few things. There's really very limited option for me as an advantage to being married. Okay, it does allow me to probably apply for what they call an O visa, right? But what does the O visa give me outside the OA that I've currently got? The O visa means I only need to keep 400,000 baht in a Thai bank account instead of what I currently keep. That's really not even from what I've heard from the paperwork in the immigration sort of bureau, and the different people have gone through that. It's like you get the third degree when you're trying to apply or renew the O-level visa. How long you've been together. They want photos. They want all this sort of thing. So it's very invasive, from what I've been told. Some people have better results than others. But the results are very varied, and what we get is a number of different people saying that the paperwork is horrendous. For me, it's different. Like on the OA visa retirement, I'm of that age where I can say, yep, fine, I'm retired. I'm a single guy. I've got money in the bank. Right, all I got to have is health insurance, money in the bank, and a roof over my head, and I'm good. That's it. There's no other questions asked. Oh, of course, not breaking the law anyway. So it's a pretty much straightforward process. There's no real advantage. And again, so right now, we can't be legally married anyway because they don't recognise same-sex marriage here in Thailand. And unfortunately, although Chanya is as pretty as she is, her ID card still says Mr. Chanya Kamjin. Right, and getting the house inspection yesterday from the bank, the paperwork comes through and there it is, Mr. Chanya Kamjin. It actually offends her, right? She gets very offended when she sees this official documentation coming through. There is a bill going through Parliament at the moment. It was submitted 12 months ago, or over 12 months ago, for changing of those laws, but it got held up because the LGBT freaking lobby they got their knickers in a knot because they want to have what they call outright marriage equality, not what they're putting through Parliament right now, which is what they call a same-sex union bill. And that's so the whole thing got held up. Same thing happened in Australia when it went through. And of course, these freaking damn do-gooders just get the bill through, let it happen, right? Then you can lobby to have changes. But if you try to, I'm sure they just do it just to hold things up anyway.
Well, I am of the opinion that everybody deserves the right to be as miserable as they want to be.
Yes, I know. You had to do it twice just to make sure, yes.
Yeah. I wasn't sure the first time. It was like, oh, hell, it can't be that bad. Oh, yeah, it is.
So look, on the subject of marriage, what we will probably do, we will probably go and do a Thai Buddhist wedding, right? So do the official pomp and ceremony, have all the friends and relatives come through. I've got to get the three outfits. Chanya's got to get the 3 outfits. There's a morning outfit, there's the actual blessing outfit, and then there's like the reception outfit, the 3 different things. One's a traditional Thai, one's in traditional white, when you do the string tying, and then of course you got the post-party, reception sort of thing. I've put aside, I've in my mind, I haven't actually put it aside, in my mind it's going to cost about 50,000 baht to do that particular wedding thing, get everywhere. But of course, where we're going to have it, because like half the relatives are up in Sukhothai, and I'm not paying to fly them down to Bangkok. We've actually got more people that would probably be suitable to have the thing done in Sukhothai than to do it in Bangkok, if you know what I mean. If you look at the numbers of each side of the family. So anyway, it just gets very complicated. So I'm just going to when she starts pushing the issue, then we'll look closely at it. But I've sort of factored in my mind that we'll do a Buddhist wedding and do all the pomp and ceremony, and then take from there. But first things first, let's get the house sorted out, right? Then I want to investigate whether it's I can set up a business here, right? So we can expand the whole salon process, and I will be the business manager. Which will give me an OB visa, right, and gives me an OB visa, which as long as I'm running a business here, I'm not actually working, I'm just running a business, so I got a business visa. From what I've been told, you don't need the 2 million baht down, you just need to be able to asset value of 2 million baht or something assigned to the business. So I'll worry about that when I burn that bridge when I get to it. Anyway, moving along. Are you guys in a closed relationship? I guess it's difficult to be closed relationship. No, we're quite open about our relationship.
I think they mean whether or not you date other people.
Oh, no, we've said basically we are definitely a platonic couple. Although I might go on, she knows I go down to Sukhumvit and hang out with the boys.
You mean monogamous, right? Not platonic.
Yeah, monogamous. Sorry, platonic. What's platonic?
Platonic's no sex.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I got those two confused. Monogamous relationship. Yes, sorry.
That's the hell of a thing to get confused. I think that's what my second wife thought a marriage was.
Is that right? Yeah. No, monogamous relationship. Yes. God. Freudian slip there. But yeah, so we do not date other people. I'm sorry. If you're thinking I'm going to date you, no, I'm not. I'm very happy in my monogamous relationship. We do sleep together every night, and we sleep in the same bed, the whole thing. It's all above board. Michael, I've actually been subscribed to you for a while now. What happened to your old vids? Did you delete them? I hid them about 12 months ago. I put all the low view or low, anything. I think anything less than 3,000 views per video, and if it was older than 12 months, I hid them. But then, of course, I think about 2 months ago, I think it was. I changed that criteria so that if there's less than 1,000 views, they're still hidden. They're still all available on the playlists, but they're just, those ones are hidden. The stuff before 2016 is now members only. So if you're a member of my website, your Patreon, or if you're a member of the thing, you've got access to that. Well, if you ask, I can't easily give it for the members here on YouTube, because it's the way that they're categorized, and they're actually on a different channel now. But I can give you a playlist link if you're a member here, so you can see them. But as I said, not many people watch that old stuff. It's really old stuff now when you think about it. low quality imaging, the 720p camera, the whole works. The real rough and ready stuff. So Andy Stubbs, penis reattachment works. The appendectomy. The penis reattachment works if you can't find the missing organ. Yeah, okay. Moonlight Mists and Memories. Greetings all from Golden Tiki in the beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay. It must be evening time there, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
Here we don't care what sex you are, as long as your money's green. You're all all welcomed equally. Pretty much how it works here in Thailand too. I think that's the card that gets played. If you can pay for it, then you can have it. Since you were married before, what's the advantage of being with a trans compared to a real man? No PMT. That's the first thing that comes into my mind. Although my ex-wife really didn't suffer too much from the PMT, she did have her mood swings, which after 20 years together, you know how to work around them, But I don't get it. We just don't get that stuff. Although Chanya loves looking pretty and beautiful and wearing all of, she's a fashion aficionado, all that sort of stuff. I actually enjoy going out shopping with her, whereas I really never enjoyed going out shopping, doing that sort of side of life with my aunt. It just wasn't my thing. It's just, again, it's a mind. I think the best way to describe it is, Chanya's my soulmate. We do everything together, and I enjoy it. I suppose second time around, and that age difference, I get to live, in my mind. I get to live my life over again through somebody else's interaction with society, if you know what I mean. It's hard to describe, and that floats my boat. I don't feel old, except when I go walking and running and drinking. Oh my God, it takes me 3 days to recover from a drinking habit. Andy Stubbs, okay, yeah. So, Thailand's democracy is a basket case. So hard to put it all into to blame it on the legislation, purity testing. Yeah, it is a democracy. Well, if we'd like to call it a democracy. Yeah. Stephen Monash, what there? Yeah, how you doing? A major advantage of being with a trans girl over a cis girl is that there are no unexpected pregnancies. Well, that's one thing. Of course, we didn't have that with me either, because I had a vasectomy when I was 35 years old anyway. So there was, it's one of those sort of things. I didn't want any unexpected second or third children, especially Angie being 3 years older than me. It takes a toll on them. So we just made sure that that wouldn't happen. I don't know if you've been. Johnny Siam, g'day Johnny, how you doing? We've got a good crowd here today. Good usual big crowd anyway. Just a few front doors installed. Yeah. Anyway, so I did have an article to actually go through today. I go chatting with Cody last night. He was looking at the STV, because he's now in his final stages of getting things wrapped up in Alaska there to move over here. And one of the ways we were looking at, he was looking at the STV to do the first 9 months of his stint here, while he really acclimates and gets to feel the lay of the land. I think I talked about it on the Bangkok video I did released on Tuesday. But we got some information on that one, and I didn't realise it was so strenuous, so strict. Where is it? Yeah, so he pointed out this is the Thailand Consulate.org. The special tourist visa. I've really never looked into it. Non-immigrant, the non-Thai nationals who wishing to obtain special tourist visas. Okay, passport photos. Yeah, that seems a bit big for a passport photo, but anyway. Photos must be taken 6 months. Passport copy of your flight. So you actually have to book a flight. Right, I don't know how that's going to work coming from America to start with, because there's no flights coming out of America to Thailand at the moment. So how could you even show them a ticket to come to Thailand from America? A copy of, I don't know how that will work. So that one there is a bit difficult. Money's not a problem. Medical certificate showing the no preventive diseases. Basically, you've got leprosy, tuberculosis, drug addiction, encephalitis, third phase syphilis, and there's a medical form and a few other things. I think it's also got COVID-19 stuff in. Criminal record, insurance, so you're going to have the insurance before you come. Evidence of this is the other thing, evidence of long stay accommodation, either a hotel reservation in Thailand for the whole duration. That's the thing, for the whole duration. I thought you only had to show, where you initially you show you booked into a hotel, but it's actually going to show you've actually got to pay for this, fully paid, right, in your hotels from start to finish for the first 90 days. Sort of, you're supposed to be coming here as a tourist. I thought tourists want to go and visit places, and you want to go and say, well, I'm going to go to play that when I'm going to make a choice from point A to point B. This is probably why the whole STV failed, is this mandatory requirement to book your whole first 90 days. So, or a residential lease, so staying, getting a lease somewhere, or a hire purchase, a mortgage agreement or a condominium title deed. So I think that's what killed the STV, to tell you the truth. They were just, too many people wanting that too. It's like this whole, again, it's like this, what do you call it, it's like the marriage, not the marriage, the same-sex bill that went through Parliament. Too many people wanted to add this and add that, and too many people, there is a certain percentage of our government here, or the government here, who is very xenophobic, and they're very strict on some of these regulations. They didn't want to, they didn't want foreigners coming, I'm sure, because seriously, who would want to book in for that? Anyway, so it looks like Cody's now looking at other alternatives. So one of the things he is looking at, and this one here, I've been hearing a lot about this one here, and although I haven't got really any solid information on it, but there are agencies now doing this type of visa for people, which you can get up, I think you get 12 to 15 months on this particular non-immigrant visa O volunteer. There are organisations that actually setting themselves up to put you on the books as a volunteer. It seems a bit strange, but I'm hearing about it everywhere, on posts on Facebook, and again, I'm sure these government agencies, if it was not possible to do it, I'm sure that these people would be hunted down and sort of told to cease and desist. But on my Facebook, I was if I go to my Facebook, or actually I should show you, there's a TikTok services, TIK, TikTok Services Thailand. Right, now this is when I first came here to Thailand. I had this lass here help me do the license changeover from Australian license to a Thai driver's license. She was the actual lass that did it for me. So Thai driving license, opened bank accounts. She does all these services. I contacted her before I came here. Right, I landed 4 days after, or 4 or 5 days after here. We took a trip down to Pattaya, and we got her to do my license changeover from Australian license to Thai license, and it was very seamless, because I had both the car and bike license to obtain. It was not too much hard work for me. Let somebody who knows how to do it. But I was looking through her services, and I found it down here. Thai bank account, 60-day visa extensions. Yeah, so she does the visa options. She does a non-immigrant 3-month volunteer and a 1-year volunteer visa. 30-day extensions, 60-day extensions, 90-day extensions, retirement visa renewal. She does a whole 90-day STV extensions, open Thai bank accounts, driver's license, more information. So give her a bit of a plug. She's a lovely girl. So she was very helpful when she did it. And so I'd always, say if anybody's coming and looking at being in the Pattaya region, definitely check her out. If you just hit me up on Facebook if you want me to send you that link, or I suppose, let me just put this one here. But the downside, let me just go to my thing. So the negative side, there we go, is she's in Jomtien. And when it looks at the driver's license, because I had to do what they call a change of address, right? Somehow, when she does the driver's license thing, that's part of it is that you've got to get the certificate of residency, which she does through some third party. She doesn't do that herself. She doesn't put you in her house. She does a certificate of residency, which I think it's a big grey area. Because effectively she had a certificate of residency. I was only in Jomtien for the 2 days I was down there, but somehow that complies for her to do the license renewal. But of course then my license comes out, and my license says that my address is that particular location that was submitted when she got the licenses for me. I just at the front of me getting my photo taken, that's all. So I have to worry about some of the validity of the way these things work. So again, using these services, she's been around here, she's still advertising now after 4 years, so she must be doing it correctly, right, according to the way the law works. But I got to question how some of these freaking things work, because, they seem like big gaping freaking loopholes in the whole visa process. And again, I think she can only do stuff when you're here as well. So, yeah, thanks, Mitch. Yeah, so it's just one of those things. You can only do the stuff that you can't. I suppose you could do what I did, and I contacted her on Facebook before I flew out. She just said, just come and see me. Everything will be fine. What I needed to bring, blah blah blah. And she'll do it when I'm here. She can't do it without me being here, but that was only the license. I'm pretty sure most of these things requires you to be in Chonburi, which is Jomtien, Chonburi, that's the province, and she has access to do it all from there. But that sort of locks you into that location. Then of course you've got to, if you move from that location technically, then you have to go through TM28, TM30 bullshit and everything else, which is still a thing, by the way. People don't realise it, but it's being ignored, right? But the law has not changed. I don't know why people. Anyway, let's not go into that sort of big argument. But yeah, so when Chanya gets the blue book for the new house, then I will get my yellow book updated, and I will have to do a TM28. Right, I'm changing provinces from Bangkok to Nakhon Pathom, right, which means that the TM28 has to be filed with Nakhon Pathom. So they're telling the Bangkok province immigration the fact that my new housing address, my new location is now Nakhon Pathom, blah blah blah, and then all my future visa and renewal process goes through Nakhon Pathom, which is 5 minutes away. But yeah, I will take you down that road when we actually do it, just so we get it all verified. Because sometimes, like you can do all the paperwork and do all the legwork, and it still doesn't make sense until you actually physically do it. And then once I sort of physically do it, and I can say, yeah, I done it. And I think I was having the discussion with Sunny, when it comes to opening, what they're getting an OB visa for, he's had one for 26 years. he's done it. He's opened businesses and now he helps other people open businesses. But he can only help him if you're actually opening a business in Phuket, right? And yeah, sliding him a few bucks to do the job as well. It takes time out of his busy day and schedule, but he will help you and put you in touch with the right people, if you know what I mean. And the right lawyers to go and do all the right paperwork, and so it all gets done properly. But that's for Phuket. He can't help you if you're in any other province. So, every province is going to be different, something you have to get used to. Yeah, TM30 song. Yeah, thanks, Stephen. But yeah, so definitely TM30 song. Yeah, so we're singing it for you there, Stephen. Pretty hard to have time to have a double life being at home or at the salon, I imagine. A double life? Double life? What was that in reference to? Did I miss something? Why does the Thai government make things so complicated? Yeah, yeah. But again, it seems to be complicated to us when we read, when we start to read these written circulars. This is what's published, right? This is the published information from the consulates. This is supposed to be official documentation. Yeah, finding two immigration bureaus that actually follow the written, is it a translation thing? Because you can look at it. You can look at it in Thai, I guess. So that's a Thai version. Oh, that's right. That's you can go to Thailand, and that changes it all to Thai. Does it change it all to Thai? I don't know. Yes, it's all in Thai. And then, of course, you need to be able to sort of, read the Thai, because the Thai might be interpreted different ways. And so we've been down this language part before. There's different ways you can read a sentence because of the way that their language works. And, again, if it comes down to a point of law, it's going to be, the point of law is going to be made on how the Thai law system looks at the particulars. And that might not be the same as the way that the immigration. But the thing is, if you get denied something at a particular immigration office, are you going to then go to a lawyer and to say, well, you said this and they said that, can you fix it? It's very unlikely. So, basically, the best advice we can give is the fact that on renewal of visas and things like that, go and see them a couple of weeks before the requirement, and just check to make sure your paperwork's all correct. I know in Changwatara, they actually now have an information window for visa renewal, so you can sort of come in with your documentation before renewal and have it checked to make sure it's all present and correct and what you might need, and you can go away and get that. And you don't need a queue number for that. You can just ask them at the window. Whether they do that in other provinces, I don't know. But Changwatara being Changwatara, I think they need to do that because there's so many people there queuing up. What happens in Dakam Pantom, I don't know. I haven't even looked yet because nothing's been finalised yet, if you know what I mean. Anyway, moving right along. What would your reaction be if you found out Chanya is living a double life? Oh, that was what that one there. Well, we'd talk it through. But again, double life, right? She goes and sees her girlfriend. I'd love to sort of do some videos, right, with the girlfriend group. And again, you've got to appreciate, from my point of view, right, these are all ladyboys. Not all of them have gone through transition, right? And they're, although I've known Chanya for 12 years, I just know with the group that doesn't happen. But if you're initially sort of entering into that sort of thing, these girls' nights out, you would start to wonder why, you're not invited, or why you can't go. Of course, I've got over that little hurdle. I don't give a frick about it anymore. But I wouldn't mind doing some interviews with them, about their life, because you all know Chanya. I'd love to sort of talk to Nuk Young. She's a funny girl. I did do a video with her and her boyfriend about 3.5, maybe 4 years ago. It was her birthday, and we went down to one of the restaurants down here. And I shot some really great video of, a party with 3 farang and a room full of ladyboys, and it was a wow of a night. But about maybe 12 hours before publishing it, they sort of I got a call from us. She said he doesn't want to see that, he doesn't want to be in the video, he doesn't want to show. Can you not post the video? Because he lives a double life from where he comes from. If you know what I mean. And if somebody found out that he was leading this double life, it could cause some problems. So yeah, and after that, I've never really had a chance to, Chanya still goes out and has her girls' nights out, like we have a boys' night out. She trusts me, I trust her. Relationships are about trust, right? And if I saw writing on the wall, right, it would be concerning. But I've been living with her for 4.5 years, full time, and there's never been an instance where I felt that trust level has been broken, if you know what I mean. So, and I'm not naive. I've got a few rungs on the board to know how to read the body language and everything else. So, it's one of those sort of things. If you're in blind lust in your relationship, things can go wrong. But love is a different thing. Hope that answers the question. Yeah, so that was pretty hard to have a double life. She's at the salon and she's home. Look, she also has. We've got the Google Maps. I share my location with her. She shares her location with me. It's not the fact that we don't trust each other. It's the fact that if I had to sort of realise, says, look, I'm stuck here or stuck there, right, and trying to explain to her where to come and pick me up from or something like that, or wherever she is, and her trying to explain where she is, we can get Google Maps out, and I say, where is she right now? Okay, and I go, travel there. If you know what I mean. It's just one of those. It's not about trust. It's about convenience and having a language difficulty. Because, I would never find these restaurants we go to on a Wednesday if she didn't give me the, type the bloody Thai name into the Google Maps. If you know what I mean. I'm absolutely hopeless with a Thai keyboard. All the letters look the same. Look like ants running across the page. So yeah, it's one of those sort of convenience things on Google Maps. I'm here, come and pick me up. And it's happened a couple of times where she's been at a shopping centre. I've dropped her off one place and I've gone and done some things, and a couple of hours later to pick her up again. Well, where are you? Ding ding, Google Maps done. Pick her up, no problem, easy. Just keeping handling the doesn't bills until it's done. More ladyboy interviews. Audience is out there. Actually, why don't I just break my microphone? Yeah. Okay. I've got this card. Like last time I was at Susie Wong, there's an Aussie guy. You can't see that because of the car. There's an Aussie guy there. He actually works in the establishment. Not quite sure what his role is, but he's given me his card twice, and he said each time he's talked about it, he knows I've got a YouTube channel. I think he said he's subscribed to my YouTube channel, and he's actually sort of fronted up and says, look, I'd love to do an interview with you, but again, I don't have a list of questions. Like, if you're going to go and do a video like that, what am I going to ask the guy? Okay, so how did you get the job there? Well, they're boring. You obviously have passion for working in this industry. What is your job role? He may be, there as a freelancer. I don't know what. I don't even know what to ask the guy in a video. So, but yeah. But I've also got another friend, Paul. I'm not going to sort of. He sort of said, let's go and do XXX. And we're going. He's been invited to go and do something there for his website. And he said, want to know if somebody want to tag along, as a wingman. But unfortunately, because we went out last weekend, and next week we've got Jerry's birthday, it's just too much for an old guy like me to do, back-to-back Friday nights out with the boys, because I got a Saturday morning live stream. And I respect our group here. I don't want to come in with a headache like I did last week. Such is life. But yeah, so hopefully what I can do is I can queue up with Liam to organise some interviews, not so much with ladyboys, but just with some of the working staff there, and do some above board, in-depth, look at the entertainment industry, and we'll try to sort of be a little bit tongue in cheek, because all we sort of see is a seedy side of that industry. Yet it's a flurry. Well, apart from COVID-19, it's been a flourishing industry for quite some time. I know there's certain sectors of Thailand want to see it completely removed, but that happens around the world everywhere. Like King's Cross is no longer the King's Cross I got my first tattoos at. It's a completely different place. And that's just that's your cotton wool participants, cotton wool society participants. They want everything wrapped up and put into nice little tidy boxes, which does annoy the shit out of me as well. But yeah,
boxes.
The boxes, yes, the boxes. Don't like the boxes. We don't like the boxes. But yeah, so once I can work out, I've probably talked to more of the people on the Discord, so we can sort of look at what we could ask, and maybe queue up some of this stuff. And I'd like to do some of this more insider stuff. I don't know whether I'm going to, if I release it to our membership, because it's not Chanya and Wazza's life. This is more where I was going to try. I'm still toying with this whole Bangkok Insider sort of sideline video series, but again, it's people come to our channel because it's Chanya and Wazza, right? This sort of stuff is a diversification. People have said, why don't you have a separate channel for it and then push it on a separate channel? Well, there's two reasons. One is the fact that it's a separate channel. It's just more messing around with YouTube. And all the bigger names and the people who have done YouTube for a long time just says, don't bother, right? Unless, of course, the material is geographically different and completely diametrically opposed, and you really need to keep it under wraps or something like that, and go anonymous with it, then you might consider a separate channel. But basically, it's still I live in Thailand. This is the sort of stuff we see in Thailand. And that's part of the inside story. I want to look at that sort of stuff to give more insight. Again, like Paul does with his website, and get into that sort of crowd and sort of, let's see if we can lift the seedy side of it. Because these girls here, as I said, like most of them had to go home.
Hey, how's it going, gentlemen?
Good. High-tech Panda. G'day, how you doing? It's been a while.
Yeah. It's coming all the way from California, baby.
California. So still early evening for you.
That's right.
9 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So what are you guys up to?
Oh, we're running a live stream right now, as you probably know that, don't you? Or you're watching the stream. Probably
okay.
not.
Which do I watch it on yours?
Well, at the moment I don't have anything up on screen, so we're just talking at the moment. But the stream is running. They can see me. They can see me, and I can turn my other camera on, and you can see me too. But you'll see me at my desk in the camera, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I see you. I see you in that blue shirt, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but we are.
YouTube.
I'm on the tube at the moment. Yes. Yeah. So we're just talking about people have been asking about. There's been a Q&A. It's actually what I've been wanting. I've been wanting to do Q&A for quite some time, but most of the time the Q&A people don't ask questions. I think it's great that people are asking questions. Of course, the moderators here they keep they answer a few of the questions for me. So the best way, if you want to ask me specifically a question, is you put the @ symbol, the button, right, and start typing WARR, and it'll fill my name in. That will then highlight from me, like you can see where Andy's got at Richie Kingstar, right, so that means he's talking to Richie, he's not talking to me. Right, if I see at Warren Gertie's, then I know that the questions specifically are a question you want me to answer, and that's what my visual cues are looking for on the channel there. But yeah, so people have been asking a lot of questions today.
That's cool.
So well, we started out. We've got a couple of other things I want to talk about. So the other thing is there was an article I wanted to do here, talk about this breaking news that came out of Thailand yesterday. But we keep on sort of the chat always bounces around, if you know what I mean. You know, it bounces around from question to question.
Squirrel.
See, at Warren Gertie's, right? At Warren Gertie's, that's not. It's supposed to fill in my name. So that's what you do there. Well, at Warren Gertie's TV, yes, that's how it looks. That yeah, but you then put the question after that, Stephen. Okay. We'll teach everybody how to do this. And again, you can do like High Tech Panda. You can always come on the Discord. Links are down before. There we go. See, Mark Verdun's got this. Okay, question. Frung's buying the vaccine in Thailand. We did that a couple of weeks ago. I don't actually have the article for you, but actually I probably do have the article. Let me just go to my Line quickly. Where's my Line account? And Bangkok group. It's going to be I have to scroll back a fair way, because if somebody did post something about this one here, I wanted to talk about Songkran this year. There's some scrolling back, protest letters. No water sports. Somebody's got a very scratchy microphone there. Oh yeah. It's at Thai News on Twitter. Quarantine for tourists now on yachts. This is from a couple of weeks ago. The different things that all these links get saved at. I don't have any special place. I did try to remember where I saw. But anyway. Moles quarantine wavering. I was talking about the harbour cruise. There was oh yeah, here we go. Bangkok Post, there it is. So this was posted on February 18th. COVID vaccines for everyone in Thailand. Okay, this is coming from Bangkok Post, which is one of the more reliable news sources. Everyone. It does just, let me just move myself into the small screen. Yeah, so COVID vaccines for everyone in Thailand, published 18th of February. Everyone in Thailand, Thais and foreigners, including migrant workers, will have access to the quality and safe COVID-19 vaccines, the government spokesman said yes on Thursday. Assurance was given during the daily Centre for COVID-19 Situation Administration briefing at Government House by Assistant Spokesperson. Yeah. Everyone in the country, including foreigners, would have access to the vaccines. Vaccines will include expatriates and migrant workers, and the government tends to offer equal protections, he said. So yes, in answer to your question there, who was it? It was Mark. Buying vaccines, this is something that's still out there. There was a follow-up articles from this over the course of a few days after that. The fact that there will be no price gouging for foreigners. They want people vaccinated. And if the vaccines are given to Thais for free, they'll be given to foreigners for free. The government will foot the bill for everybody. Private hospitals, they're still mulling private hospital being able to source their own vaccines, and private hospitals can then, give you the vaccine and all the sundry sort of stuff that goes with it, and follow-up calls at a cost. But basically that's an addition to the whole general consensus of a national rollout of the vaccine.
Your psycho?
What was that?
Psycho rolled in.
Hey Psycho, how you doing?
Pretty good. Just got my second dose of Moderna about 4.5 hours ago.
Did you?
And you're still alive?
You're still alive?
I feel the need to tell everyone about Bill Gates, though. And
okay.
Remember Bill Gates? Bill Gates.
Yeah. What about Bill Gates? Right, he completely
You should
ruined
all
everybody.
Follow him, and pay homage to him.
What,
Oh, shit.
For
He is our Lord.
what,
Bill
for
Gates.
creating Windows?
Creating Windows.
For pushing out unnecessary updates.
Yes,
For,
all updates.
for copying
God.
something Xerox did 10 years beforehand, and then copying something that Apple then tried to patent from Xerox, with a graphic
Yeah,
user
good.
interface.
Yeah,
Right,
I'd say
and then-
Xerox did it, Apple stole it, and then Gates just jumped on the bandwagon.
And
the
then
entire tech industry is just basically people stealing from each other. And,
well, that's what
trying
happens.
to, the marketer, the best one who markets it wins.
There was a TV series. What's it called? Silicon Valley, I think it is. Have you ever seen
Silicon Valley.
IMDb? IMDb.com. IMDb.com. I'm pretty sure it's SILICONVALEY. Silicon Valley. Silicon double L. Yeah, so I don't think it's running anymore. I watched the first 3 seasons. Actually, it still looks like it's still running. It's still another 3 seasons. I've got to go and find the other 3 seasons and watch it. But if you ever wanted a bit of this is well, in my opinion, I don't work in Silicon Valley, but the thing is, working in the tech industry, I could sort of say it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but what happens in this particular program is very much how Silicon Valley runs. It is quite comical, quite serious, and it takes a look at all the bullshit that goes on driving the tech industry. And it's done, tongue in cheek. It is a comedy, but the comedy is based on real life. So if you ever really want to have a look at a good, funny series, it's got an 8.5 star rating on IMDb, and I was absolutely taken. I just loved it. Of course, not working in Silicon Valley anymore, not working in the tech industry, I stopped watching it around about 2016. I was in Thailand. In my case, it made me feel like I was still at work in some respects, if you know what I mean. And I really didn't want to do that. But yeah, so but you ever want a good laugh and get a bit of a snapshot of an inside story of how the tech industry works, I highly recommend this one. And just like I also recommend this one here, if you want to know how, is it Brian dead? Is it dead? And if you ever want to look at how the American politics works, watch this one here. This one here I absolutely found completely amusing. Again, 8.1 on. It's a TV series. I only went for 1 season, but it was absolutely hilarious. Aliens come down and burrow into your brain and eat your brain. That's why politicians do what they do, because they got no brains. But anyway, it just totally cracked me up.
I couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That was half of it. Most of the time, you couldn't tell the difference whose brain did or not. So, yeah, 2 good series if you want to go and have a good laugh. Anyway, so we're talking about Bill Gates. Yes, in regards to the vaccine, how does he pan out with that? I think he's got some great ideas. He gets some bad rap in the media circuit for some things that have been taken out of context. But I think he generally seems to be doing more on an entrepreneurial or philanthropic level than most other people. I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Musk
He's
starts.
pretty much out of the company. That's pretty much all he does is run the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation anymore.
Yeah. So can you choose what one? What's choose? Just missed something here.
Maybe vaccine.
Do I really read these? No, it's like we just went off talking. I just want to look at the @ symbols. And Augie says, "Do I really read them?" Yes, I do really read them. I can scan back when when this thing goes off. But yeah, anyway. So what I was going to ask you, how do you feel? Any sore arm? Does it feel like a jab, like a typhoid injection, or what?
Honestly, it's just sore arm. I expect to have some nasty symptoms in about 12 hours since this is my second shot.
Right, and what do you feel the lymph nodes reacting underneath the armpit there?
No, right now it's just sore arm. But
Did they go? What about the first time?
The first time I had a sore arm, then I just kind of conked out for about 12 hours.
Right.
Yeah, but that was about 24 hours after the shot. So this one's supposed to be a little bit more major. Like I know 2 people who have had the vaccine who have had fevers after the second shot. So I'm kind of expecting the same thing, but it's not everyone who gets that. It's some people, so we'll see.
Yeah, the last shot I remember having was I was about 15 or 16 years old, and that was for what do you call it? What's that thing when you step on nails?
Tetanus.
Tetanus, yeah. And that thing smarts almost 15 minutes after you get it, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. The lymph nodes just go into absolute, overdrive, and you've got a sore arm for about 2 days. That's the last time I ever had injections. I'm a little bit, not so much anti-vaccine. I've had vaccinations done throughout childhood and up till about age of 15. The last injection I had was, the tetanus. I haven't had any since then, and I got to ask, well, what? There's something like there's 70 or 80 damn different vaccinations people go through now. I seem to survive all right with only the handful I had growing up. But anyway, such is life.
Well, I mean, you're from Australia. You had to fight tarantulas for your food.
No, that's funnel webs. We don't actually have unless of course you got pet ones. We don't actually have tarantulas in Australia. They look a bit like a tarantula.
Don't you have the trapdoor spiders?
Well, we got trapdoor, which they only just give you a little bit of a sting. The deadly one is the Sydney funnel web spider. They look different to a tarantula. They're not as hairy as a tarantula, a little bit smaller than a tarantula, and they get these little white rings on their legs, which is how you tell it's a funnel web, because there's a few other spiders that look like a funnel web, like the mouse spider, which don't have these little white bands on their legs. Those sort of things there, they bite you. You'll soon know about it. You need to go to the hospital and get the antivenin, because it can be fatal. I remember I was at Rick's place one day, and we're just sort of sitting down in his garage looking at his DeLorean. Rick bought a DeLorean. He's got the picture somewhere. He even put the little flux capacitor in it, just for the sake of it. I don't know what he paid for it. He paid an absolute small fortune for it. But Rick was a lawyer anyway, so he had the money. So we were down there admiring his DeLorean, because he'd only just bought it, and we were just having a few beers down underneath the garage there, right? And just crawling along the floor, there's this black, what would you say? It was 4-inch diameter spider, starts wandering through. Right, we just lifted our legs up off the floor, and so that it couldn't crawl up our legs. Let it just walk straight through. It walked away from us. We grabbed a jar, and we put a jar on top of it, put a card underneath, and captured it and took it to the hospital. That's what you do with funnel web spiders when you know it's a funnel web. You capture them because they milk the venin out of them.
That was a great idea. Great idea on that.
How's that?
Well, I mean, taking it to the hospital, giving him something to kind of make anti-venom with.
Oh yeah, well that's it. This is being a Sydney person. This is what you do, right? If you can catch, ideally, if you're brave enough, right, you get a sort of get a jam jar. You've always got a jam jar somewhere. I think we had to empty some flour or rice out of it, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what we had. It was a few years ago. So Rick just went upstairs, got a jar, came down, put it over the top of it, slid a thin piece of cardboard underneath, so it climbed on it, flipped the thing over, put the lid on, and took it to the hospital. That's what you do. We're sort of conditioned. Don't panic. This is a funnel web. Right, we've lived with them all our lives in Sydney, so it's not like It's not, not the first and last time you see the funnel web. Of course, different people from around the world, when they see the funnel web, they'll have kittens, or they go and play with it.
How fast was the spider moving around? I mean, was it kind of quickly mobile?
Well, because we
Slow?
didn't scare it, it was quite, like, they don't run. They don't run from anything. That's the thing with the funnel web spider. But they don't chase you either. It's not like a jumping spider, or I don't know if you see that movie Arachnophobia. They don't run around like that shit. They're not docile. They will rear up on their legs, and that's it. I'm here. You're there. You come any closer, and I will bite you. That's what they're like. But they don't chase you, and they don't run away. Like they're. I'm trying to think of an example. Like. What would be a good example of a funnel web? They have attitude. Like if you've ever played Ark Survival Evolved, they're like the Argentavis bird. They just have attitude, They have attitude. That's the best that I can say. Anyway, they're easy to catch. Just don't panic. Just usually, keep your wits about you. But pretty much majority of Australians, above the age of 10, are told what you do when you see one and what to identify with them and so on and so forth. If you've got good parents, that is. I'm pretty sure that the parenting process of the children and coming out of schools these days is pretty much non-existent. And whether they can do it anymore because they're all freaking wrapped up in cotton wool. Oh, I don't want my little Johnny, playing with spiders, whatever. But yeah, anyway, so getting back to what I was going to do. So, I wanted to talk about this one here, this breaking news. This was only published yesterday, and this is obviously coming from Thai Visa. And as you can see, like, we've already got 5 pages of comments on Thai Visa. I'm not even going to go there. Okay, it's just Thai Visa. The government on Friday released a proposal. This is, again, it's just a proposal, but this is where we're looking at right now with coming to Thailand. Most notably, Friday's announcement is that the quarantine will be reduced from 14 days to then 10 days from 1st of April. It will then be reduced to 7 days later for vaccinated foreigners, before quarantine will be scrapped completely by October 1 for those who have received the vaccine. And much of the proposals were, as first reported earlier this week, with Thailand set to reopen in 3 phases. Phase 1, which takes place between April 1 and June 30, will see Samut Sakhon no longer being listed as a red zone or a maximum controlled area, where it would join Bangkok, Samut Prakan, Samut Songkran, Northern Buri, Nakhon Pathom, Pratom Thani, Nonthaburi, Non-Taburi. I was told, actually, I've been saying it all wrong. Non-Taburi. That's how you actually supposed to say it. Non-Taburi. So it looks like Northamburi, when you see it written, because they usually tend to break that up. Anyway, another squirrel there. Ratchaburi as one of the orange zones or controlled areas. 14 other provinces, blah, 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 blah. It will remain yellow zone and high surveillance area. The remaining provinces will be listed as green zones. So that's April 1 to June 30. So that's what's phase 1. And of course, this is also introducing that the different quarantine process. Phase 2, from July 1 to September, there will be no longer any colours coded zones or controlled areas in Thailand. All restrictions will be lifted except for those under the new normal, such as social distancing, mask wearing, temperature checks when entering some premises. Right. Phase 3, from October 1, government is aiming to allow vaccinated tourists from low-risk countries to enter Thailand without the need to quarantine. However, this will be dependent on the COVID-19 situation in Thailand and whether or not sufficient numbers of medical workers in the country have received vaccination. So this is one of the things that they're currently focusing on right now. JCV, they've asked me a question there. I'll get to you in a second. This will depend on COVID-19 situation and whether or not sufficient numbers of medical workers in the country have been vaccinated. Meanwhile, it was announced that quarantine will be reduced from 14 days to 10 days from April 1. CSA spokesman says that both Thais and foreigners will need to be quarantined for 10 days, but this will be reduced to 7 days later in the year. It was also announced that the state of emergency will be extended to May 31st, and water throwing and foam parties have been banned for this year's Songkran, but there are no restrictions on domestic travel. So yeah, that was the other article. I was trying to find it before I started this morning. The current sort of Songkran, which is the 13th through the 15th of April, which is actually probably going to be the 12th to the 16th of April. So we've got 5 days Songkran this year. And that'll take the whole week, and so there's 2 days. So it's going to be a 7 deadly days again for Songkran, because a lot of travel, people going into country and everything else. And again, we'll probably see another, what do we typically, you get 60 deaths per day. So 7 6s are 40. So 450 to 500 people die from road accidents, mostly due to alcohol and people not giving a fuck. Yet the big news story is COVID-19. It's all right. We're used to people, 60 people dying a day on our road systems, but we're not used to sort of seeing, one person dying of COVID-19 every 5 days here in Thailand. We can't have that, but we'll definitely sort of have 60 people dying on the roads every day for lack of driver care, people cutting in front of motorcycles, when the motorcycle has the complete right of way, but the bloody cages. You know how it goes. This is Thailand. You gotta get used to it. Just learn, when you ride a bike, you're gonna have 360-degree vision. That's it. If you don't have 360-degree vision, you can get a new helmet out of I think Germany is producing a helmet that's got a heads-up display, which has a camera in the back of the helmet, which actually gives you like a rear vision mirror in your helmet display, so you don't have to look at the camera.
That's cool.
They're not cheap. No, I think there was a Kickstarter I saw about 12 months ago. I think that the Kickstarter's finished. They were looking at something like for $700 or $800 US was the helmet price, which is quite expensive for a helmet. Like a good quality helmet should set you back a couple of $100. For a good safety rated one, not one of these what do they call plastic, what do they call it, there's a brand here that you get in Thailand, all the tyres were Index, they're just plastic with foam. You fall off your bike, your models will hit your head on the concrete. I suppose they have a little bit of protection. It's like riding a push bike, push bike helmet style protection. If you're on a push bike, you don't go over 20 kilometers an hour, so anyway, wrap the world in cotton wool. If you don't know how to ride a bike, then stay off the road. But again, most of the problem. There was an article I saw the other day. There was a firm came in and they talked about this whole motorcycle death in Thailand, and they did some statistics, because one of the biggest problems here in Thailand, we don't have a good level of statistics, but they tracked a few thousand injuries and deaths over a period of 12 months, and looked at this whole thing, and they said 80% of motorcycle death is caused by the cages cutting in front and across the road of people, right? So you're travelling down a main road, and you'll have a cager does a U-turn on you, or they cut into the main lane, right? And motorcycles just, motorcycle riding, the skills level is a bit of a iffy situation the best of times, because they don't know that you need to use the front brake to stop yourself properly and stay off the rear brake and a whole bunch of other stuff, and how to use a control slide and all that sort of stuff. They don't teach that stuff here in Thailand, because kids are on bikes here from the age of probably 10, right? And again, half of the people who are dying on road accidents from motorcycles don't even have a license. But yeah, this is just what we got. But most motorcycle accidents or deaths are actually caused by cars. And car drivers just basically not giving a flip, or just not seeing a motorcycle when they cut in front of you. And of course, motorcycle speed was not really there are issues, but motorcycle speed is not really the main cause of it. But yeah, anyway, what was this? What was the James? Yeah, regarding your new house, excluding the price of the home, which other fees are charged as a foreigner when purchasing a new construction house? I'm not sure of that one because I'm not really buying the house. I said we got a build yesterday, which I think if you're buying a house, again, whether you would qualify for a bank being involved, that's one thing. But that was 3,250 baht for the valuation was done yesterday. So Chanya's paid for that. Effectively, we pay for that. She didn't ask me if I pay for it. She's coming out of her bank account. She'll send the money today, but like I buy her dresses, so, 6 of one, half of the other. So she's paid for that today, and that's one fee. Other fees are there's if you're buying second hand, there's a transfer fees. But most of the time, it's say foreigners can only outright purchase condos or a house sitting on estate land where you're paying a long-term lease, and then of course there's your lease, which is an ongoing fee. That's all I can tell you at the moment. Again, I haven't been doing much research on it because it's not really relevant for my case. I can only sort of tell you what we're experiencing as we experience it, and the things we're experiencing is I know when I bought my house in Australia, this was '96. It took a week. Mind you, I had a fairly well-paying job. I had my own business and all that sort of stuff. So I had a business. I had a good salary. I had. We weren't married at the time when we bought. We got married after we bought the house, and we were buying it from my father anyway, so it was less of that hassle, with third parties and estate agents. But yeah, so basically gave them the paperwork, was approved in a week, and basically, bing bang, Bob's your uncle, all done. Here's the mortgage. Start paying now. It was very simple. Whereas this whole process with the bank we've got here, how long we've been doing for? It's been going on for at least 9 months, backwards and forwards. Different things they wanted to qualify, and then you've got to submit your paperwork. And the most recently was the paperwork was resubmitted again. They wanted to separate hair cutting from what they call the salon makeover stuff which is primarily her business. So she's not she went in as they put her initially just as a business called hair cutting, like it's a business category. And one thing that they basically gave us some information on that. But then she said, but what you do is now redo the books, show us what is just a standard haircut, which is like 120 baht for a haircut. In my case, when she cuts my hair, it's 120 baht. Well, I don't pay, but I think I paid the first time just because that's what you do. It's bad luck if you don't pay for the first haircut. So she tells me anyway. Such is life. But yeah, so this hair cutting, which is like 120 baht for a haircut, or even just a trim. Even girls have trims done. That's 120 baht. Whereas most of her work is colours and styles, and I don't know if you've seen her on her Facebook. There's the 3-layer colouring and all that sort of stuff. These things. They can charge 1,500 to 2,000 baht for that, depending on how much work is done. That's 80% of her business. So they asked them to have her books redone to qualify which part of the business is doing what. The hair cutting or the beauty salon, and that comes out of the beauty salon part. And so they reassessed it, but then even that reassessment took like 4 weeks. I can't really, we haven't signed papers yet, but I can tell the crowd here initially. We got a phone call on Tuesday and she was just over the moon. I didn't quite understand what was being said, even though I could hear what was, but basically they gave her an over the phone approval on Tuesday for 3,800,000 baht for the home loan, which pretty much covers the cost of the house, covers the whole host of them. Anyway, when I actually see all the numbers on a piece of paper, then I'll make a video about it. But so yeah, just that went through. But it took so fucking long. That's the thing. It just takes too long. Whereas my home loan took a week. It's taken her 9 months, and like she's got a valid business. And when I had my home loan, I had to submit 12 months worth of business paperwork and bank accounts and everything else. But again, that's me in Australia. That's one of the things that just over here in just Thailand, they're just very, very critical of it. I suppose we talk about foreigners losing business and having businesses fail here in Thailand. If you want to know about those sort of stories, Simon Landers Smiles, he's always got stories about that sort of stuff. The stuff that he had to go through in the old years. You hear it everywhere. And it seems like if you're a foreigner here in Thailand and you start up a business, that's it. You start a business, you'll find it. If it looks like it's making money, you'll have a Thai person buy the house next door, set up an identical business and go into direct competition for you. That's what will happen here in Thailand because you've got a profitable business. So it doesn't happen so much in America, but you know what I mean. Or in Australia, America, I guess, would be the same as well. It doesn't, that sort of competition level doesn't happen. But a foreigner over here starting a business, it's very, very competition based, and a Thai will just turn around and sort of, do it cheaper. But yeah, so a lot of businesses fail, and Thai businesses fail as well. This is why I think banks are a little bit sort of cautious with Thai people borrowing for a home loan. So she had 2 years of records, right? And finally, 2 years, she's got money in the bank and the whole thing. They can show she's profitable. She can service a loan. I think she has to be able to show that she can service 30% of her income needs to be able to service the loan. That will guarantee the loan that they'll give you, sort of thing. So they looked at it and said, yeah, fair enough. Anyway, long way. I could probably shorten that down a lot. But seeing a funnel web spider is the best cure for constipation. Fair enough. What was that? Be right back. Roads in Thailand are nuts. Yes, I know.
Hey,
go on.
If you don't mind, I wanted to ask you a question. I saw some of those videos that you did where you're kind of looking around and seeing with the progress on your home. How much longer before you guys move in?
Well, we showed some. There were some bits and pieces on our photo album. Actually, no, I think there was a video. Most recent was a video, wasn't it? Let me sort of take you a bit of a walk around the video. Let me see if I can find the actual video. Videos, it's already been encoded. Video encoded, house update. Is this one it? Right, so I know, there we go, we're streaming it directly on the thing. So here we have let me just press the pause button. So we've got the glasses in. They've leveled it out. There's a little bit of secondary paintwork on the outside to be done there. The front gates, this was done last week, not this week. I'll delete this past. This was done 2 weeks ago. All the tiles are in. I think what we'll probably see is if we put, once this thing here, okay, the banks looked at they've looked at it and said, yeah, this is, we've done the house value appraisal, right? That was part of the formality. So the bank obviously guarantees the fact that there is actually a house and it's worth something and it's worth the sort of money we're loaning, blah, blah, blah. There's the bathroom fittings need to be fitted in. That might take a day. The yard might take a couple of days. So once the bank fronts up and gives the estate the guarantee that we've been approved on, I think we could probably sort of say it'll take a week to complete. How long that process takes, that's anybody's guess. I'm sort of saying we should be in by May, but now that the approval's gone through, we could very well be in before Songkran. If push comes to shove, I think this house will be ready by Songkran. And we would that's if everything goes according to plan. But I'm not going to hedge my bets. There's a little bit of paintwork to be done. I've got to have the door put on Stephen's room, but all the wiring's done. I still don't know what these cables are. I can see cables poking out of the sides of some of the windows. I don't know what those cables are. We've got other things to do, and this is one of the things that we're trying to look. She wants a chandelier put in, but the chandelier's not part of the plan, so that's something to be done afterwards. I'm sort of saying to her, I think we need to move in, right, and then have this work done after we move in. But otherwise, I'm sort of sitting there. We're paying a mortgage while we're still living in this house while work is done, and I think work gets done better if you're there overseeing it, if you know what I mean. It gets done properly. That's in my opinion, at least, anyway. And this is again what Robert was saying when he was having his done in Chai Arm. He was out there pretty much every day making sure that progress was being made. And I think it comes down to accountability. At the moment, we've just been paying about 10,000 baht a month to hold the house, which is coming off the loan anyway, so we've already paid to the estate. That just keeps things moving along, and bills being paid and the work being done, if you know what I mean. So yeah, effectively, there's probably a week's worth of work to be done. But then of course there's other stuff to be done. There's obviously curtains and air conditioning and all that sort of stuff. We would probably say once we've got ownership, the first thing we're going to do is put in the air conditioner for the bedroom upstairs, our bedroom, and the computer room, because there'll be 2 new air conditioning units. They will be put in first before we move in. She wants to buy a new bed for our room, and we're going to give this bed base that we're currently on to Mother, because she's currently on a sort of a mattress on the floor. Like to have her off the floor and onto actually a bed, so she'll get this one. We'll get the new one for our bedroom, right? A few other bits and pieces. So there's probably about a week's worth of work that we would do, and then we've got to do the whole moving, and probably moving everything from here to there is going to take 2 to 3 days. There was that one there. A bit more of a look around. So this is my little kitchen area. I can do this after we're moving in. Putting the shelves in, as I said, microwave, air fryer. The fridge will go there. There's only 2 power points. I'd like to put more power points in there, but I'd like it done properly again. I'd like to sort of have the cabling for the power point removed from site, rather than like what we had here when we put extra power points in. It's in ducting. Not that ducting really hurts, but I'd like to keep the house looking pretty neat, if you know what I mean. And those sort of things, they take a little bit of drilling and jackhammering and chiseling away to put the cable inside the wall, and then you got to plaster back over it or cement back over it because it's cement walls. There's a whole bunch of fix-ups. That's going to take at least, at a best, get 2 to 3 weeks. But as I said, we could be in 2 weeks. Just depend on when the bank actually goes and pays the estate. And I think now that we've got the appraisal done, given the timing that they've done, I'm guessing 2 weeks for the bank to write the check to the estate and do all the deeds, and then things will just they'll just bing, bing bang bong. It's just all done very quickly. I know when when Rob had his house done, there was a final rush in the last 2 weeks for him, and although it wasn't all done, Steve, I don't see Robert on here today to actually give it how long the final fix-up took. But hopefully that answers your question anyway.
Yeah, I bet you guys are getting excited about getting into that place.
Nah. Sort of
No.
Well, I'm excited because I get my man cave. I get it out of the bedroom, and I got some work to, I can get everything exactly the way I want it. Everything's sort of thrown around my desk at the moment. If you know what I mean. It's just, it's not ideal, right? But it's make do, and I get, I'll be off air for probably 2 days while I get everything done. And that's the only thing I'm excited about is 2 days and then it's all mine. When can I order the internet? And what internet service do I want? It's got to be the internet service has got to terminate in my man cave because I want a hard cable to the computer systems, if you know what I mean. Because I don't want Wi-Fi and blah blah blah. So I got to make sure we're there, overseeing that, make sure that they bring the thing in. Putting the carport on. That's sundry to the exercise. That happens after we move in. I believe.
Are they going to? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are they going to put in fiber optic cable for you?
Oh yeah, we got fiber. Yeah, we're currently on fiber, and we got fiber in this location too.
So you should be able to get a pretty good internet connection then.
Yeah. The question is which one we're going to get. We may even get there's a deal on for the same price, which is their, although it won't suit me. It's a streaming TV service. On top of basically you're paying 700 baht plus GST, which is what I pay now. It's 1 gigabit down, 500 megabit up, but it also has a set-top box that goes with it. But that's the thing. If we order that, I need to make sure that they terminate upstairs and that set-top box is Wi-Fi connected, because I don't want cables running through the house because that TV will be downstairs, if you know what I mean. So there's a few little complications there. It's little things like that just drive you nuts, because this is what I want, right? And then having that relayed into English, into Thai, so that it gets done to my specifications. That can be a bit of a challenge too for some people, but we'll take you through that as we go through it. That's half of it.
So Warren, I hear the NBN's offering a good deal for you in Thailand.
The NBN? What's my NBN? What's the NBN? What's the NBN got to do with it?
Aren't they the ones that have the crappy cable in Australia? Yeah, they'd be more than willing to hook you up in Thailand.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough. No, well, we're going to stay with 3BB. I think, different people talk about different services, and I quite frankly, we've been on 3BB for 12 years. Ever since we had our first place, we were on 3BB. We've had good service for them. The service is reliable. This new set-top box that they're giving out as, I can quickly show you the 3BB Thailand. I think I did this one, 3BB Thailand. Okay, let's go back home. No, let's go Giga TV. That's not what I'm looking for. Oh, I had this the other day. Sometimes trying to find app firing provider Thailand, no firing speed test 3. Oh really? You'd think it'd be top search. No, again, they don't know how to sort of tweak these sort of things to get these things working. They should be able to get. No, I don't want speed test. They should be able to just go 3BB. Yeah, okay. There we go. fiber, 3BB. Okay, and we want to get it in American English. Yeah, so currently we're on this package here, which is 3 gigabit fiber. That's what we've currently got, and it gives me wait, it doesn't actually tell me what it gives me. Oh, there it is. So the 7.0, so it gives me 1 gigabit down, 500 gigabit up. So, but they've actually got this package now, which is Giga TV, which gives you 700. This is here, so 700 bars, but it doesn't tell me the up speed. Right.
Doesn't say synchronous or?
No, that's the thing. So this is the thing. I need to verify what it gives you on the up speed, because I said I don't want to be waiting. Like it takes me 1.5 minutes to upload, a 3 gigabit video, every few days, yeah. But it comes with this is the set-top box it comes with. I've also got to look at the compatibility, make sure that I can get one of those what they call remote keyboard mouses as well, because these things here are they're crappy to operate to try to use the mouse operation. But yeah, so you get this 3BB broadband gigabit TV box on top of it. Now this is the thing: is this a separate box? Is it is this where they're terminating? Because my main thing is internet speed. If I'm paying for it, it needs to service me specifically, right? You're bringing the cable into the home. Can this box be connected to the existing provision, right? Otherwise, I'll have to look at a different service, right? But again, it's the same price, and I won't be paying 1,400 baht a month for both services, for want of a better word, because that's pointless. I've already got an Android TV box I bought for the TV. I haven't fired it up yet because the fact that I found a better option, which was the Android emulator on the PC, and it's just one less box to plug into my wire. But yeah, so it
looks like the download on the Giga TV is 1 gigabit, and then depending on which service you pay for, it's either 300, 500, 700, or synchronous.
Yeah.
Look at nationalthailand.com. They've got an article.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
Yes, it does seem to indicate download upload speeds, right, as being synchronous. But that's the question. It's the way I look at this 3BB Giga TV box specifications, it does look to me, I can't get any more information on it about how it's connected, or this is just this is what you get. It's all Thai. It doesn't really suit me. You got your movies.
The one I'm looking at is all English.
But yeah, so how they're doing this HBO, like you're not paying for HBO, you're paying HBO Go movies, HBO Kids. Seems to have a deal with HBO. I'm not quite sure how that's working. Because HBO, what's HBO cost you in America?
$10 a month.
Is that all? Okay. 700 baht. So that's $20. Can't see how they could really factor it in, unless of course it's limited, geographically limited. But yeah, everything I've looked at seems to indicate the box terminates at this thing here, right? And that's the thing that I'm confused about, right? Storage capacity 2 GB RAM, blah 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 blah. Wi-Fi. It's got Wi-Fi on it, dual band. It's got no extra cables, right, and so on and so forth. So that to me, it almost indicates to me the fact that when you buy the Giga TV service, they're going to terminate into this box, which will not suit me. Okay, I can't use that. It doesn't actually have any wired connection to it, so it's pointless. I can't do port forwarding and all that other stuff. So would more than likely, unless of course I can get that confirmed, it'll mean putting an Android box on the TV downstairs, and then we can probably cable that up. She wants a new TV anyway, so. But yeah, so that's where we stand. But as it takes probably 2 days to put that in.
It's really disgusting, man. You know, I'm paying $60 for 300 megabits download, and I forget what's the up. I mean, this is ridiculous where I'm at, man. You got to I think Thailand and just about any other place where they're in Asia's got better deals than over here.
Well, don't forget, I don't want to defend, the incumbents like America and Australia who had internet services before Thailand did. But look, if I won't use America as an example, I'll use Australia as an example. It was 2007 when they first talked about nationalising like a broadband network for all Australians, which was previously before 2007, before really, Facebook and Google had a foothold on the industry, right? It was, you had what they called dial-in services, right? And you had, 50 different companies offering you a service, right? And then what happened is the bigger companies started buying the client base of the smallest companies and terminating that way, and then of course you'd move from the small into the bigger, which is why I believe what's happening in America. But then of course those bigger companies, right, they're taking on a bigger clientele base so that they can get more money allocated to them, right? But don't forget they have a wider reach, which means they have to put in the DSLAM infrastructure and everything else. So it's costing them money to roll that in infrastructure, right? At a, a DSLAM could only take like 50 connections, right? So for every 50 customers in an area, you had to have a DSLAM that could take, 55 customers. And that was what we were facing in 2007, 2008, before when they announced the broadband, what they called the problem of oversubscription, because not everybody's dialed in at once. They were dial-in services being offered in those days. They weren't broadband services, and so a DSLAM have so many ports on them. Typically, I think 48 ports was a typical DSLAM. But what they would do is for every 55 customers, they'd put 55 customers on a 45 port box, which was typical. And then of course, peak times, all 55 customers wanted to dial in, and of course there was no call routing and that type of thing to route you to another box. Basically, you couldn't connect, and this is what spurred on the whole, we need to nationalise and take control and blah blah blah. So that started then. It needed government approval, but 2012 came around, and then it finally got some budget, right? And the budget was approved on the technologies that was available then. What every government around the world seems to fail to understand is the fact that the technology moves faster than government policy, right? So what they're budgeting for in 2012, right, to be rolled out over a phased period, well, that equipment, right, is already too old to service a current network. The only way they could have done the network properly is with fibre, because fibre pretty much is unlimited. It just needs the endpoints equipment upgraded, but the fibre infrastructure is pretty much light speed. And that's it. Once you've got the fibre to the premises, you can go 1 gigabit, 10 gigabit, the sky's the limit. But right now, what we had is the government change in 2016, I think it was. And they said, we're not spending $42 billion on this national broadband network. We can do it for less by not doing fibre to the premises. We can do it by doing fibre to the pole outside. And then we can do a VDSL on the copper wire that's existing within the street, which is owned by Telstra, because the copper wire's already there, right? What they don't sort of really tell you is the fact that the maximum speed you can do on copper wire with VDSL, the VDSL 2 Plus, is 300 megabits per second if you're within 1 kilometre of that particular downlink, and I call it a downlink for whatever better words, right? And even that technology, VDSL, is technology which is currently 6 years old at VDSL 2 Plus. Nobody's building anything above that. There's no point to it. Fibre is the way to go, but now Australia has rolled out all its VDSL technology, and so they're stuffed. They have to. The government now has to go and spend another, 30 billion to upgrade all that VDSL and give you fibre to the home, which is what the original government proposal was supposed to do. Politicians making decisions, whereas in Thailand, right, they pretty much, although we did have VDSL, they didn't really have that problem of dial-up bullshit. We pretty much didn't see dial-up being rolled out anywhere in Thailand. If it did get rolled out, it was special case scenarios, because basically internet provision up until about 2009, 2010, internet was really a prerogative of a business called an internet cafe, or game shop cafe. We've got one in the street down here. I should take a video and show you. Look, it still exists, right? And I know when we did Skype calls with Chanya, and she wanted to sit in front of a computer, she would actually have to leave the house and go down the street, and we'd have to time that and work out when she would SMS her, or just call me in half an hour, sort of on Skype, blah blah blah. Oh, it was such a drama. But yeah, she would have to go down to the internet cafe, pay her 20 baht for an hour, or whatever it was, something like 20 baht an hour, right? She'd have to find one that's set up with a microphone and headphones and all that sort of stuff. I've got photos of it in my, if you look at scroll back through my Flickr, you'll actually see photos of this sort of stuff, And that's how we used to connect, right? And after that, then we went straight from internet cafes, we went straight to ADSL. So we were copper wire in the house, but it was copper wire which was dedicated just to internet services. That's all the stuff you see floating around in the streets. That's copper wire, not so much phone cables. It is phone cables, but it is actually more than likely ADSL cables down to your exchange to service that existing internet infrastructure. That was our first house. First rental was ADSL. Second rental was ADSL. When we moved into here, we were given VDSL. That was a straight, account change. But the new box they put in here was VDSL, because VDSL was available 5 years ago here. Right, they're rolling out VDSL in Australia right now. VDSL was being rolled out in Thailand 5 years ago. It might only have been VDSL 1 or VDSL 2, but it was being rolled out 5 years ago. Wow. And Australia was still rolling out ADSL 5 years ago. It's crazy shit. It's because these incumbent companies, right, to create the competition, have to charge less than the next person, unless of course you've got geographical exclusive rights and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So this is why it's so hard, because in America, like, who are you with, Oggy? Is he still there? I'm pretty sure.
He muted his mic, I think.
Has he? Yeah, he'll come back on in a second. That's of course he's fallen asleep. But
I'm with Spectrum.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm with one called MediaCom. It's a very small.
Yeah.
It's just in Pinal County, but right across, 5 blocks away is Cox. They're one of the big players.
Yeah, but you don't have access to Cox, do you?
No, can't. They're given an area they can service. So.
Yeah, and this is the thing. So we didn't quite have that area servicing in Australia, or again talking in New South Wales. If you were an internet service provider, wasn't exclusive. You were in the same boat as every other provider, so you're always cutting costs. Whereas in America, they seem to have this process where, you've got boundaries. You can't sell that to the guy across the next county, which is 5
Some of the counties allow multiple providers.
Yeah.
Some don't. So
and this is the thing.
But typically where I'm at, you can get a wireless connection.
Right.
You can get DSL, digital service line over POTS, plain old telephone service wire, or you can get cable. There's no option for fiber, unless maybe you're a business.
Yeah, and of course
And
you
then
pay. Well, you did have the pricing. What was your business pricing there? $300 a month or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it went up quite a bit.
Yeah, we had the same thing in Australia. You could have a business connection, which you got options. But yeah, so and this is I'm just looking at the time. We've already gone to 2 hours. God, it doesn't feel like 2 hours. We've been busy. But yeah, so I think that's really what it is. This incumbent mentality. It's like the petrochemical industry. The incumbent will not bring. They will not allow. They will veto anything that threatens their profitability. Right? Solar energy. Wind power. Right? They are sitting there. They are hitting you left, right, and centre with anything like. I think in Australia we had similar situations. All these things like. If you're going solar, then of course the solar price also had to include the 25-year servicing disposal of the panels price. That had to be brought into the initial cost of putting the solar on the roof. We don't see anything in the petrochemical industry. If you buy a car, that you have to pay a fee up front to dispose of the car, right, to get from point A to point B. We don't see if you want to put a freaking diesel generator into your home as a sort of an emergency backup system to say that, after the 10-year service guarantee of, whatever your diesel generator, that you must dispose of the equipment. But if you're putting solar on the roof, you actually had your upfront solar cost had to include disposal of the materials in the solar panels at the 25-year return mark, which was one of the inhibiting costs of putting solar on your roof, right? But that was introduced by the petrochemical industry, who don't actually have to pay the same sort of costs. This is what you get with the internet service, but the incumbents, right? Right now we have an incumbent, which is the media corporations and Telstra, the two incumbents that control Australia's TV and internet services, right? Because they're in bed with the Liberal government. That's what happens. So, and I just think it's just more rampant in America because you've got these county lines and county provisions, and just with what the Augie says, it's very exclusionary business. You can't, if you have a 7-Eleven, you can't set up a 7-Eleven next door to a 7-Eleven, right? Because that's
that'd be funny. Dual 7-Elevens as a corner.
Look,
But they do it in Thailand.
That's right. Like, seriously, I know, no joke. Right? It's from my house to the main road. It's 1 kilometre, and I walk past 3 7-Elevens every day. Not only that, but I walk past a Tesco Lotus Express closed down. So did Family Mart. They couldn't compete, but we still have a Big C Extra. So we've got 3 7-Elevens and a Big C Extra, not to count the mum and pop, convenience stores. There's 3 of those on the street as well. That's what I've been. I must maybe we do. I've got to get this organised. I want to take you down the street. Now I can't do it on a live stream because it's. I need Chanya with me to tell me what's what. She needs to tell me what each shop is. But we should do this. It's going to be like an hour-long video of just how business operates in a street like ours here.
That'd be way cool, man. That'd be cool to see that.
But I need her to commit to walking the 1 kilometre down, even if we catch the motorcycle taxi back up. Getting Chanya to walk down our street. It's all right. It's just one of those sort of things. It just makes me laugh. Yeah, like I want to go 7. Well, let's walk down to 7. No, get the motorcycle. It's like 300 yards or 200 yards to the 7-Eleven. No, she will not walk. She'll want to get the motorcycle. She'll take the motorcycle down to the 7-Eleven. Yeah. Hey, I clocked in at 80.7 today on my fitness thing. So there you go. It's only just been 2.5 months. 80.7. I'm looking like I can get sub 80 kilos. Right, everything's looking very, very, very solid, very, very solid for a sub 80 kilo weight factor. I'm already suffering from, I've been buying size 36 waist pants for the last year and a half, and now I've been going extra holes than this belt here I bought in Australia. So it's about 15 years old, so it actually has the holes. But I need the belt to hold my pants up now. The downside of going on a health kick. But hey, such is life. Anyway, look, we can keep on going. I don't know, like we're at general consensus. Like we've been having fun. We can go a bit longer if you want. I know Oggy wants me to jump.
I'll hang on. I've been enjoying this.
Yeah, Oggy wants to jump into Valheim and sort of go and take on the motor boss, because we're all set up to do. I did motor last night solo. I found a how-to. I was going to watch somebody stream it. How to do the motor solo, and yeah, it's a tough one solo. We want to try 2 people and see if we can do it. So he's hanging out, waiting to go and do that because it's his night time and he doesn't have to work in the morning. So I don't want to go too long.
Okay. Hey, I wanted to ask you a question, Wazza.
Yeah?
In the back there, those shoji screens, I really like those. I mean, why did you put those in there?
Oh, that's what Gay said. This is our bedroom. It's like he said the Sojis that I'd have to. Where's my camera? Where's my XSplit? Where's my XSplit camera? XSplit, there it is. Yes, he's talking about these screens here. If I turn that off and go large, he's talking about these partitions on the back.
Right.
Well, they don't see that because I'm using XSplit to broadcast, which doesn't require the blue screen anymore, what they call the chroma key anymore. Yeah, well, right behind that is our bed. And like when we first started broadcasting, doing our live stream Saturday morning, I didn't have that set up, and you could see the bed, and like that meant I had to make the bed every time I did a live stream.
Oh, God forbid that you make the bed.
God forbid. Why do people make the beds? Right, seriously.
You're gonna sleep in it the next night anyway.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. Stuff you people. So that just hid everything. If you know what I mean. So.
Was the bed made up behind those shoji screens?
No, it's not. Those screens.
You wouldn't need the screens if it was made up. Come on.
It's
you listening?
We got 2 people live in this room, and it's me and her. It's just a mess. I get out of bed at 8:30 in the morning, and I'm straight into the live stream. And the last thing I'm going to do is bloody make the bed. Get real, I got to get down at 9:30 to get my coffee.
Priorities,
Priorities, yes. So that's why we put the screens in. They weren't expensive. They're only about 1,500 baht each. Bought 2 of them so they could go together and create a whole. I used to hang the chroma keys cloth on them when I was using the chroma key, but the chroma key had issues. They changed something in Streamlabs and don't know what quite happened. I don't have enough light on the backdrop, and the backdrop was not flat enough. Whatever changes they made to it made the chroma key hard to get to drop the colour out. So then I started using XSplit, which is, although XSplit works on a different thing, you can see the fuzziness around here where it doesn't know how to do the very, very fine lines of the headphone gear, but it knows how to determine what the shape of a person looks like. Some sort of artificial intelligence drives it. So I can just cut out there and just have the back. So that's the screenshot that's in my folder for some reason. But yeah, so that's Elite Dangerous, by the way. Which I bought the Alpha. I bought the Alpha Odyssey, so I could be able to do. They sort of 29th of March. They're going to have the Alpha Odyssey Alpha will be released. So I'm looking forward to that.
I have to get that this weekend.
I'm impressed for gaming purposes that the latency of Starlink is purportedly... Yes, well, I don't know anybody who's on Starlink yet, but I've been hearing some good stories about the internet speeds for Starlink. Again, this is technology. And I think this is one of the things Musk is probably going to do everything right, because he knows technology, and he's got some great people that are in his think tank. And again, he's not limited to government policy of a 4-year or a 3-year cycle or whatever. I think it's 4-year cycle in America, or it could only be 2-year. Can a president be ousted after 2 years?
No.
Okay,
4-year cycle.
It's a 4-year cycle, but the Senate and the lower house can be changed in a majority into every 2 years. They can, so you could go in.
Sometimes it's 2 years, sometimes it's 6. I don't know. I don't even try and follow that stuff.
Yeah.
I thought a Senate seat was 6 years, but if for some reason a senator dies or whatever, and somebody takes their place, then at the next general election that would have been that person's seat, they can go for the 6 years. But like we just had the election, and we had a couple of senators who had to go up, but their term's only going to be 2 years because it goes until the next senator would have been renewed again.
So I think Australia works is like you get the house, the lower house is elected every 4 years, and then of course you have by-elections. If somebody in that that was elected to that sort of area, if he quits or is kicked out or dies, then we're going to have a by-election on the spot, or within 4 to 6 weeks, and then they can be elected, which can then change. It can also, if you've got a hung parliament or a closely hung parliament, you could have a Labor seat can change to Liberal, which then could change the balance of power in government, which then you can get sort of all sorts of weird shit happening. Same thing with Senate. Again, so the senators are elected for 8 years, but only 50% of the senators are elected at each election. So every 4-year election cycle, only half the senators can change, if you know what I mean, or something. I'm pretty sure that's how it works in Australia. It's quite confusing. But yeah, at least with Starlink and Musk, right, unless of course Musk gets pushed aside, which I don't think will happen, he's still on the board of directors. He pretty much runs the show. It's it's his company, and it's his money, and it's his investors, and he has to keep investors happy, so you can't get too radical. But you also have to show some sort of profitability as well. I think with his current launching of satellites seems to show profitability. The current Starlink project, what he's seeing is profitability, in a long-term investment strategy. Don't forget these investors are coming in for they're probably coming in for a 10-year return on investment, and they're going to see 100% return on investment, sort of, from what they've pledged to what they get back. That's how it works with these companies. They don't do it for nothing. But he's got a product that's been driven by him technology-wise. So 20 millisecond, I think we may even get it under 10 millisecond. There's no reason, right? It's just basically electronics, to convert.
Well,
yeah, go on.
It's a function of light speed for the milliseconds. So
yeah, it's light speed.
That's why his latency is so much less than Hughes. Hughes was in geosynchronous orbit, so the latency was higher. This is like 1/7 of the distance.
But it's still like,
to they're not geosynchronous. They're low Earth orbit.
That's right. But even geosynchronous is like from that distance there is only sort of well, as you said, like 80 millisecond. It's more the technology that does the routing, right? That technology that's up in the sky that was doing that satellite broadcast, that's 10-year-old technology. That's still part of it's still built on transistors.
It was going out to geosync, and then it would have to come around the planet to get the things to go back down. So
yeah. Whereas what he's got now is these satellites they're building. It's basically a digital to digital conversion of signal, right? So the digital signal out of your computer is not converting to analog, it's staying digital, right? It's being then broadcast digitally on a digital frequency directly to the thing, and it's just basically route. And he's got dedicated chips in the equipment that do the routing. So there's no routing well, I said 20 millisecond. That's just the bouncing between the different grid points to the uplink. To the downlink back in, and then basically the latency of the 20 milliseconds is probably the ground, converting that whole radio spectrum, digital radio spectrum, back into the current TCP/IP framework, which does require some latency. Like what are we getting on fiber here? From my computer to my router here, I think it's got a 1 millisecond latency. Then from me to my uplink to 3BB has a 5 millisecond latency. I don't know. I showed you this last week, you know. Ping plotter. And it'll ask me to update the software again. No, I don't want to close it. I don't want to no, cancel. Don't want to do it. So if I take a route to the DHCP services of Google, right, what have we got? Like so, I've got me to my router, an average of 0.4, 0.6 milliseconds. To my first connection, I'm getting an average of 4.5 milliseconds. Right, that next hop there inside their closed network is 3.5 milliseconds. So this is pretty much a direct route. There's no conversion. We're breaking out here into the main backbone here, and again it's a private class address scheme there. So this is again how they're getting around the TCP, what they call IP6 framework. There's lots of this routing through tunnels on private networks to overcome the IP4 limitations. But yeah, so we got that 24 millisecond hop. So even me, getting to Google, I got 25 millisecond. I'd like to sort of see what a Starlink has to Google. I'd like to see a similar trace route just to see what they have, just to really compare the differences. But
yeah, what's interesting, I know somebody that just went and looked because he's up in the mountains and he was looking at maybe getting the Starlink, and they want your credit card before they'll talk to you.
Of course they do.
And and it's up to 6 months for the equipment to be delivered.
Oh, jeez.
With no guarantees of delivery. So
yeah.
So he decided, nah. He says, I'll wait.
Yeah, this is one of the games we were playing the other day, or the other week. Again, it's a server hosted on the Amazon cloud. Again, so 3.4 milliseconds. This is where it's times 3BB. Now we're bouncing out of the internal network into the public network, right? And I got 140 millisecond onto that route there. Now I don't even know where that is. It says it looks like that's an endpoint on the other side of the globe, which is in Paris. So I'm right now, to get to Novaquark, I'm routing from Thailand through Europe to London to America. So we go first top, which is probably France, then to London. We get a bit of a uplink there to Paris to London breakout. So 242. Then we're crossing the. Then we're going from London to New York. So that's interesting. I'm not seeing any delay, but this 240 millisecond delay is why you can't do FPS. And then this is getting into Novaquark, which is on the Amazon cloud, which is out of Newark. What's below? What's the state below New York? It's
below New York.
No.
Jersey's north.
Jersey. Yeah, so New Jersey. I think the Amazon cloud that we're connecting to there is New Jersey. So there's a bit of an uplink as well. So, but look at all the different routes just to get there. How many routers you got to go through? That's a 47. How many hops are? It's registering 40 on the grid, but look at all these null hops, which are just direct IP pass-throughs. This is why gamers really suffer. I'm showing the full. You don't need to see all the numbers. But yeah, so this is one of the things for being in Thailand, I guess. Why you can't do FPS. But anyway, no, I don't.
FPS being first-person shooters, not frames per second.
First-person shooting, yeah. So basically, we have a 300 millisecond latency delay, which means that from me to them takes 300 milliseconds for my keyboard input, plus my game, resolution, right, to say where I'm hitting, and then that has to respond back to other people. So, anybody playing in America, right, has at least a half a second better advantage in placing first person shooters than what I do. But again, you still, just like real live gunplay, you always do lead shot, for a moving target. You learn to do leading shot. This is why I've actually sort of seen this. I've had people come in when we've done live shooting, doing firing range, right, and all they've done is basically game shooting, and they get in front of a live shoot, right, with moving targets. Why am I better? Because I learnt live shooting on lead target. Like in gaming, that's why I'm always good at real live shooting. I know how to do a lead shot. Whereas an amazing amount of people who have never fucking held a gun in their life, how they don't know how to lead a shot because of the latency delay. I've grown up on games doing that, whereas Americans tend not to know how to do a lead shot because they've had so much gameplay doing it. I guess that's the only thing I can put it down to. Anyway, we're 20 minutes past here. We're definitely all over our 2-hour time period. I think we should wrap it. Unless, of course, we've got more questions, so give you a few seconds to delay. Anybody else got any questions they want to ask before you wrap it up? No? Augie?
Pardon?
Any questions you want to ask? Any sort of high-tech party? Any questions you got on the...
I've enjoyed this thing. So maybe are you guys going to do a little bit of streaming of the game that?
Oh yeah, when we log into the game, we'll stream the game directly into Discord. Yeah, so that's what we normally do.
So I'll kind of hang around a short while on that. I'd like to see that again.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap it up here today. Sort of Chanya went to work nice and early this morning. I'm not quite sure. Maybe she had the bank coming out to the bar. I don't know. But she was out of here at 9:30 this morning, which is odd for her. Swedenman says the difference between pro gamer and a daddy can I play. That's exactly right, excellent, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Did I miss anything? I'll give you a few more seconds to reply if there's any particular questions. It's been a great sort of... I'm feeling a bit hoarse already. I'll let the guys on Discord talk, and I'll be able to shut the fuck up and move along and play some games. I wonder where that car that I believe there was. I saw something about that, Warren. I saw that the other day. It's past the Mars orbit. I think it was heading for Jupiter orbit, or Jupiter. Orbit location. They gave it a pretty good long boost. It was one of the fastest moving things out there at the moment, apart from the Voyager spacecraft. I don't know if they used any sort of, because it's got nothing to thrust it, so they couldn't use any slingshot. But they gave it a pretty hefty boost when they sort of threw it out there. I'll see if I can find the information out for next week. But somebody was tracking it, and they did have a bead on it, and how far it went. That was a few months ago, or a couple of months ago. I saw that. Anyway, looks like nobody else has got any further questions. I don't think there's anything that's been missed. We're going to wrap it up. 20 minutes past the hour. So let me see if I can find the closing screen. Play that, and they will hear the music. We won't. Thanks for joining in. See you, Wazza. Everybody stay safe. We're good. I'm going to close it now. So peace out, and catch you next week. Bye for now.
I want you to lift me up so